Hello everyone, my name's Anna Shields, and this is my instructional design presentation. For my design, I chose the backwards design model, and this model starts with the end results and then works back to the beginning. So we start with the big picture and then go to more and more specific. So the first step is to identify your desired results. So you establish what are my goals or big ideas that I want the students to gain from my module or lesson. And then it goes to stage 2, and that is determining evidence that shows that the students have met the learning goals. So this is creating your assessments, both formative and summative, and making sure your assessments align with your desired results. Then we go on to the final stage, stage 3, and that is planning learning experiences and instruction. And this is your instructional strategies that you're going to be using in your classroom or on your online module that will guide the students and prepare them to take it to the assessment and then achieve their learning goals. So we start with the end and work back to the beginning. For this project, I chose to do my entrepreneurship class, and we're really focusing on ethics right now in the course. And my students are in high school. They're in grades 10 through 12, and ethics is an elective course, or entrepreneurship is an elective course. So we have all kinds of students in the class of very different skill levels, ages. We have our AP students all the way to our special needs students, and then 15-year-olds all the way to 18-year-olds. So we have a wide range of students, and that's what I love about an elective course, though. Everyone gets to learn and interact with all different kinds of people. And then it's also important to note that my students have had previous experience using computers. They're required to take computer applications at our school before taking any other business course. So we're going to start with stage 1. So the first thing I did was identify my desired results. So the learning goal for this module was for the students to be able to define ethics and recognize the need to establish ethical behaviors in the workplace. So then I looked at this goal and I asked myself how I was going to assess my students on that. So we went to stage 2, determining acceptable evidence. And I did this in a formative assessment and summative assessment in this module. So the formative assessment was in the introductory activity, in which they had to define in their own words 3 terms: ethics, business ethics, and code of ethics. And while these all 3 sound similar, there are differences, and they need to know the differences. And then the summative assessment for the end was a case study project and presentation. So for their case study, the students were required to research a business that had been found guilty of participating in unethical business practices. And in their project, they had to create a presentation that included the following. So first, a business summary, and then a case analysis of the unethical behavior. So they had to explain in detail the unethical practice, explain the negative effects of the behavior, and then what consequences the business had for participating in the ethical practice. Then after they did all of this, they had to explain their reasoning of why ethical standards are important, why we have a code of ethics as it related to their case that they were presenting on. And then finally, they were asked to be scored on their presentation skills and spelling and grammar in their presentation. So after I created these assessments, I needed to go to stage 3, so planning the learning experience and instruction. So how will my students get to a point to where they can independently create this project? So we started with more guidance and worked down towards independence. So the first thing they did was read the learning goal for the module. And then they had a short introductory assignment where they were given a brief introduction into what ethics are and a little bit about the importance of ethics. Then they were asked to research definitions of ethics, business ethics, and the code of ethics, and create their own definitions based on their research. So this way, I was able to assess, do they have a basic understanding of what ethics are? From there, they were required to watch a video that explained the importance of ethics in detail and why we have standards that businesses have to meet. And then after the video, they were to read an article that was a case study about a business caught doing an unethical practice. So essentially what they would be doing next. And the business I chose was the Nestle formula scandal that happened in the 1970s when Nestle was found guilty of giving false information and not educating women in third world countries about the proper use of baby formula. And the result was that the mortality rate in infants that were fed with baby formula skyrocketed because women were using dirty water. They weren't doing correct proportions. The labels weren't in their native language. They were written in English, and no one was there to teach them. And if someone was there, they weren't teaching them the correct way. So Nestle obviously got sued and got in a ton of trouble for that. So this introduces them and builds their curiosity so that they then will go and create their own project. Overall, the module and the design worked extremely well. I differentiated the lesson with some of my students that have special needs by working with them one-on-one when they got to the independent practice. And that's one reason I use independent instruction a lot in my elective courses, because I have such varying skill levels, and this lets students take ownership of their learning and go as in depth as they need based on their skill level. The students really liked it as well because they were kind of had an eye-opening experience of, wow, these businesses that we know and that we hear all about and see commercials for all the time have been caught doing very unethical behavior. And it showed them why we have ethics in place and really allowed them to see the importance of ethics. So overall, it went well. We had a little bit of editing we needed to do from taking it from the case study then to their own project. I think if I did this in the future in my class, I would probably have us discuss the case study altogether that I provided for them before they went on their own. But other than that, I really enjoyed the lesson and it went really well. So thank you.